students, the next topic that is a part of your syllabus is the transformation of electric field. Means how the electric field changes as you change your frame of reference. So in the previous lecture we discussed about the invariance of charge. Means the total charge on an isolated system does not change under motion. So if you will change your frame of reference, then also the charge will remain the same. But the electric field changes. The electric field changes as you change your frame of reference, and we are going to do the derivation that how the electric field will change with the frame of reference. But before going into the derivation of that topic, first of all you must know some basic concepts like the length contraction and time dilation. So these two concepts are very important and they come under special theory of relativity. So this topic is also a part of your mechanics. But I will cover just the basic concepts that you need to know in the next derivation of the transformation of electric field. So I will just cover the two basic concepts, length contraction and time dilation. So these two concepts were given under special theory of relativity. So special theory of relativity was proposed by the famous scientist Albert Einstein. In 1905. So in 1905 this theory of relativity, special theory of relativity was given by Albert Einstein. So this theory of relativity, it gives us a relation of space and time. Now what is space? Space means the coordinates x, y and z, and time is represented by t. So this special theory of relativity, it gives us a relation. This is a theory regarding the relationship between the space and time, between x, y, z and the time coordinates. Now this theory comes into picture when the velocity of the objects are very large, or you can say they approach to the speed of light. This theory comes into picture. We take the help of this theory when the velocity of the objects approach the speed of light in vacuum, and speed of light in vacuum is given by c. It is represented by c and it is 3 into 10 power 8 meters per second. So we must use this theory when the velocity of the objects approaches to the speed of light. So normally if we see in our daily life the objects that we see with some velocity, so the velocity of those objects is very less as compared to the speed of light. So in our daily life this theory doesn't come into picture. Therefore in our daily life we take the help of Newtonian mechanics. But when the velocity of the objects start approaching the speed of light, for example, if the velocity of any object is 0.5 c, so 0.5 times c is a very large velocity, or 0.6 c or something like this. If the velocity of the objects is approaching the speed of light, in that case we take the help of special theory of relativity. So this theory was proposed in 1905. Now there are two postulates of this theory. Now the special theory of relativity has two postulates. The first postulate is that all the laws of physics have the same form in all inertial frames of reference. So you already know what is an inertial frame of reference. So it is a frame of reference which is moving with a uniform velocity with respect to another frame. Only then we call it as inertial frame of reference. So it must move with a uniform velocity with respect to another frame. So the first postulate of STR, the special theory of relativity, states that all the laws of physics, they take the same form in all inertial frames of reference. So all the laws of physics have same form in all inertial frames of reference. The second postulate of STR is that the speed of light, which is 3 into 10 power 8 meters per second in vacuum. So the speed of light in vacuum remains the same in all inertial frames of reference. So the speed of light in vacuum remains the same in all inertial frames of reference. So what do we mean by the first law? That all the laws of physics, they have the same form. For example, if you take the example of Newton's second law. So what is Newton's second law? It says that force acting on any object is given by mass of the object times its acceleration. So force on an object is given by mass times acceleration. So the form of, or you can say the formula of calculating the force will remain the same in every inertial frame of reference. So this formula will remain the same. If you will change your frame of reference, if you will go to another inertial frame of reference, then in that case, the formula that you are going to use will remain the same. Although the acceleration, the value of acceleration will change, the value of mass can change, but the formula, that is mass times acceleration is equal to force, this formula will remain the same. So every law of physics have the same form in all inertial frames of reference, though the value of these variables will change, but this form will remain the same, that is force is given by mass times acceleration. So this is just one example that I have given of Newton's second law. So every law of physics will have the same form in all inertial frames of reference. The second law is that speed of light in vacuum remains the same in all inertial frames of reference. So if you will switch from one frame of reference to another frame of reference, means if you will go from one frame of reference to another inertial frame of reference, so in both the frame of reference, the speed of light in vacuum will remain the same. So if you will calculate the speed of a photon, its speed, the value of the speed of light in vacuum will remain the same, that is it will be always equal to 3 into 10 power 8 meters per second, that is equal to c. So it will always be equal to c in every inertial frame of reference. So as you have seen, maybe in your high school, you have studied about relative velocity. So if you change your frame of reference, if you will go from one inertial frame to another inertial frame of reference, you have seen that velocity will change. So you have already seen, you have done this concept in your high school, the concept of relative velocity. So let's say, if for example, if you are present over here, and let's say you are moving with velocity 10 meters per second with respect to Earth. So with respect to Earth, you are moving with a velocity of 10 meters per second. And let's say another person is moving in the same direction but with a velocity of 20 meters per second. So the velocity of this person with respect to Earth is 20 meters per second, and velocity of this first person is 10 meters per second with respect to Earth. So if you will find the relative velocity, the velocity of this person with respect to the first person. So what is the velocity of this person with respect to the first person? It will be equal to 20 minus 10. So it will be just 20 minus 10, and that is 10 meters per second. So this is the concept of relative velocity that you already have done in your high school. So if you have changed your frame of reference, so for example on Earth, the velocity of this person is 10 meters per second and velocity of this person is 20 meters per second. But if you will take the frame of reference of first person, if you will go into the frame of reference of this first person, or you can say according to this first person, according to this first observer, the velocity of this person is not 20 meters per second, but it will be 20 minus 10, because it already has a velocity of 10 meters per second of its own. So it already has a velocity of 10 meters per second, and another person is moving with 20 meters per second with respect to the ground, or you can say with respect to the earth. So the velocity of this second person with respect to the first will be 20 minus 10, and that will be 10 meters per second. So according to this observer, the second person is moving with the velocity of 10 meters per second. So this is the concept of relative velocity. So you can see that if you have changed your frame of reference, for example, if you are present on the ground, if one person is present on the ground, according to this frame of reference, according to the frame of reference of the ground, the velocity of this person is 10 and velocity of this person is 20. But if you go into the frame of reference of this person, then according to this person, the velocity of the second person will be 10 meters per second. It will be 20 minus 10. And accordingly, if you will go into the frame of reference of this person which is moving with 20 meters per second. So if you will go into the frame of reference of this second person, then according to this second person, this first person will be moving with the velocity of minus 10 meters per second. So it will be moving backwards. So according to this person, the first person is moving backwards because it already has a velocity of 20 meters per second. And this person has 10 meters per second with respect to ground. So according to this person, the velocity of this first person will be minus 10 meters per second, means it will be in negative direction, means it will be going in this direction according to the second observer. So this is the concept of relative velocity. The main thing that I want to say is that if you change your frame of reference, for example, if you are present over here, the velocity of first person was 10, velocity of second was 20. But if you are present over here, then velocity of second person is 10 meters per second in the forward direction. But if you go into the frame of reference of this third person, in that case the velocity of the first person will be 10 meters per second but in negative direction. So it will be 10 minus 20. So therefore it will be minus 20. Minus indicates that it is in negative direction. It is going in the backward direction according to this person. So if you change your frame of reference, if you are changing your frame of reference, you can see that the velocity changes. The velocity that you observe of the another object changes. But the speed of light remains the same. The speed of light, which is in vacuum, that is 3 into 10 power 8 meters per second, it remains the same in all inertial frames of reference. So speed of light will remain the same, it will not change. So this is the second postulate of STR. Now we are going to see that how the coordinates are related with each other. The coordinates of one frame of reference and the coordinates of another frame of reference are related with each other. So let's say this is the first frame of reference and let's denote it by sigma or summation. So sigma is the unprimed frame of reference, and let's say there is some object which is present over here and this object is at rest with respect to sigma frame. So with respect to, or you can say in this sigma frame, if you are present in this sigma frame, then according to you this object is at rest. So this is the sigma frame with the origin at O, and this is an object, and this object is supposed to be at rest with respect to this sigma frame. Now let's say we have another frame which is sigma prime, and this sigma prime frame is moving with a uniform velocity of v along the x-axis. Along the x-axis, this primed frame of reference is moving with the uniform velocity v. So if you are present over here in this frame, then according to you this object will not be at rest, because this object is at rest in sigma frame. So if you are present over here in this sigma frame, you are present, in that case the object is at rest. Its x coordinate, let's say the x coordinate of this object with respect to the sigma frame, with respect to this observer, with respect to the sigma frame, the x coordinate, let's say it is equal to x. So small x is the x coordinate, that is distance from here, from the origin to this point. So this whole distance is the x coordinate. So let's say it is equal to x, the distance from here to here. Because this object is at rest, so the x coordinate will be independent of time. In the sigma frame, in this sigma frame, this object is at rest. So this distance from origin to this object will always remain the same. It is independent of time. So let's say in the sigma frame, the coordinates of the object are x, y, and z. So x, y, and z, these are the coordinates of any object in this sigma frame, and that object is at rest with respect to this sigma frame. Now this sigma prime frame, in this primed frame of reference, as it is moving with uniform velocity, so according to the observer which is present in this frame, in this sigma prime frame, if an observer is present, for that observer, this object will not be at rest. It will be moving. Since the observer is moving, this second observer is moving with velocity v, and this object is at rest with respect to the first observer. So this is at rest with respect to first observer, and this second observer is moving with uniform velocity v. So according to this observer, the object will not be at rest. It will be moving with velocity minus v in the opposite direction. So according to this observer, this object will be moving with minus v vector velocity. Minus v vector velocity will be the velocity of this object in this sigma prime frame according to this second observer. Now as you can see that this sigma prime frame is moving with uniform velocity v with respect to the sigma frame. So it has a relative velocity of v vector, and therefore the x coordinate of this object in this sigma prime frame, the x coordinate of this object in this sigma prime frame will be given by this distance from the origin to this point. So from this origin to this point will give me x prime. So x prime is the x coordinate in the sigma prime frame, and x is the x coordinate in sigma frame. So wherever we have prime means we are finding that variable in the primed frame of reference. So x, y, z are the coordinates in sigma frame, and x prime, y prime, and z prime, these are the coordinates in sigma prime frame. And this distance, as we have said, from the origin to this point, this distance is equal to x. And as this sigma prime frame is moving with the uniform velocity of v, therefore you can see that this x prime will not be constant. Now this x coordinate is independent of time, as we have already said, because the object is at rest with respect to sigma frame. Therefore this x coordinate will also be independent of time. It will always remain the same. But the sigma prime frame is moving with the uniform velocity v vector. Therefore this x prime distance will not be independent of time. It will depend upon time. Now what will be this x prime? This x prime distance is nothing but the total distance minus this much distance from O to O prime. So this whole distance minus this much distance will give me the x prime. So x prime is given by x minus, so x minus this distance OO prime. Now what is this distance OO prime? So we assume over here that t is equal to 0. T is equal to 0 when the origins of these two frames of reference are coinciding, as the sigma prime frame is continuously moving in this direction. So there will be one particular moment when sigma and sigma prime will be coinciding, means their origins will be coinciding at particular time. So let's suppose that t is equal to 0, the time is equal to 0 at that particular moment. So we are going to start the time from that moment when the origins of these two frames of reference coincide with each other. And after that, the time will keep on increasing as the sigma prime frame continues to move in this direction. The time will keep on increasing. The time is equal to 0 when these two frames of reference are exactly coinciding with each other, means their origins are coinciding. And after that, the sigma prime frame will continue to move in this direction, and hence the time will keep on increasing. So with time, the sigma prime frame will move in this direction. So let's say at any time t, so this is the position of this frame of reference, this sigma prime frame of reference at time t. So this is the particular point, the point where the origin lies. So this is the time, let's say this is the position of the sigma prime frame at time t. So at this particular moment, the time is equal to t. So if this time is equal to t at this position of sigma prime frame, what will be this distance? At this point when these two frames of reference were coinciding, at that time t was equal to 0, and when the frame has reached this point, the time is given by t. So what will be this distance? That will be nothing but equal to velocity into time. So velocity into time gives us the distance. So what is the distance covered in t amount of time? That will be nothing but v into t. So this will be nothing but v into t. V is the velocity of sigma prime frame with respect to sigma frame. So v into t is the distance between O and O prime. So this O and O prime will be equal to v into t. So x prime is given by x minus v into t. So this is the relation of x and x prime in these two inertial frames of reference. Now in this particular case, the frame sigma prime is moving along the x-axis. Along the x-axis the frame is moving, therefore there is a change in the x-coordinates. So if the frame is moving along x-axis, there will be a change in the x-coordinate, as we have seen that x prime will be x minus vt. But if this frame is moving along y-axis, in that case we will have y prime is equal to y minus vt. And if this frame sigma prime is moving along z-axis, in that case we will have z prime is equal to z minus vt. But in this particular case, when the frame is moving along the x-axis, in this case there will be a change in x-coordinate only. So only the x-coordinate will change. The y and z coordinates will remain the same in both the frames of reference. So y prime, which is the y coordinate in this sigma prime frame, that will be equal to y, and z prime will be equal to z. And the last relation is of t prime and t. T prime is the time in sigma prime frame and t is the time of any event in sigma frame. So these two times are also equal. In two inertial frames, the two times t and t prime, they are equal. So x prime is x minus vt, y prime is equal to y, z prime is equal to z, and t prime is equal to t. So this is the transformation of the coordinates and the time in two inertial frames of reference, and this transformation is called as Galilean transformation. So this is called as Galilean transformation. And this transformation is valid when velocity of the object, or you can say the velocity of the frame of reference, here v is the velocity of the sigma prime frame, and we can see that velocity of the object is minus v in this sigma prime frame. So you can also say that it is the velocity of the object. So if we are talking about v, it can be the velocity of the frame of reference, or it can be the velocity of the object. So Galilean transformation, this transformation, these four equations, these are valid in non-relativistic region only, when the velocity of the object is very less as compared to c, or you can say the velocity of the frame of reference is very less as compared to the velocity of light, the speed of light in vacuum. So if the speed of the object is very less as compared to the speed of light in vacuum, in that case these transformation equations, these four equations are valid. And v very less than speed of light, this is termed as, when the velocities are very less as compared to the speed of light, those velocities are called as non-relativistic velocities. Non-relativistic velocities. Or you can also call it as when we are in non-relativistic region. So this means that we are in a non-relativistic region, or you can say we have non-relativistic velocities. So in our daily life, we encounter these situations only. So in our daily life, as we see the velocity of a car or velocity of any object, those are very less as compared to the speed of light. So in that case, we can use these Galilean transformations. So we can use these equations and they will give us the correct results. And those velocities, the velocities that we usually see in our daily life, these velocities are the non-relativistic velocities, or we can say that we observe the things in a non-relativistic region in our daily life. But in actual, if we talk about the velocities which approach to the speed of light, that is, we are talking about the relativistic region now. The relativistic region means velocities, they approach to the speed of light. In that case, these transformation equations, they take up another form. So what is the form? So I am just writing directly the form or the transformation of the coordinates in relativistic region. So the derivation of these transformation equations you will do in mechanics, but here I am just writing the four equations, that how the x, y and z and time coordinates, they are related with each other when the velocities approach to the speed of light. So the derivation of these transformation equations lies under the fact that speed of light in vacuum remains the same in all inertial frames of reference. So this is the basic concept that we use to derive these equations that I am just going to write over here. The basic idea is that speed of light in vacuum remains the same in all inertial frames. So actually the equation is, here we have x prime is equal to x minus vt. The actual transformation of the x coordinate will be x prime is equal to x minus vt times gamma. So I am just writing these equations. The derivation of these equations you will do in mechanics. Then the y coordinate will remain as it is, the transformation of the y coordinate will remain as it is, and z prime also remains as it is. So here also we have the same concept, that if the sigma prime frame is moving along x-axis, then the x coordinate will change in this manner. But if this sigma prime frame is moving along the y-axis, in that case we will have y prime is equal to y minus vt times gamma, and x prime will be equal to just x in that case, if the frame of reference is moving along the y-axis. And if the frame of reference is moving along z-axis, in that case you will have x prime is equal to x, y prime is equal to y, but z prime will be equal to z minus vt times gamma. Now what is this gamma? This gamma factor, this is equal to 1 by under root of 1 minus v square by c square. Gamma is given by 1 by under root of 1 minus v square by c square. Now, the velocity of any object cannot be greater than the speed of light. As we know that the speed of a photon is equal to c. It is equal to 3 into 10 power 8 meter per second. But there is no object that can have velocity, or you can say that can have a speed greater than the speed of light in vacuum. So I am talking about vacuum. So any object cannot have a speed greater than the speed of light in vacuum. So it cannot be greater than c. The velocity of the object cannot be greater than c. So in that case, this v by c will always remain less than 1. This v by c ratio, so this v by c is also represented by beta, by this factor beta. So this v by c will always be less than 1 for any object which has a certain mass. So any object that has a certain mass, its velocity cannot be greater than the velocity of light in vacuum. So this beta will always be less than 1 for any object. So this v by c will be less than 1. Means this v square by c square will also be less than 1. Therefore here we have 1 minus v square by c square. So if this v square by c square is always less than 1, therefore we will have 1 minus something, it will come in points. So it will come in decimals. So let's say if v square by c square comes out to be 0.5. If this v square by c square comes out to be 0.5 for any object, in that case we will have 1 minus 0.5 and that will be just 0.5. And when you will solve this whole factor, the gamma will always be greater than 1. So beta for any object v by c, this ratio is always less than 1 for any object that has a certain mass. Its velocity cannot be greater than the speed of light in vacuum. Therefore it will be always less than 1. And if beta is less than 1, if this v square by c square is less than 1, so you can put any value over here of v. For example, you can put the velocity of the object, let's say it is 0.5 c. So if you put over here velocity as 0.5 c, then you will calculate this value of gamma. So this gamma factor will always be greater than 1. So gamma is always greater than 1. Now this is the first transformation equation and this is the second, then is the third. Now last is the transformation of time. How the time can be transformed with change of inertial frame of reference. So the time t prime in the primed frame of reference is given by t minus vx by c square times gamma. So here also we have a gamma factor. So t prime, that is the time of any event in sigma prime frame, is given by t, which is the time of that same event in the sigma frame. T minus Vx, x is the x coordinate in the sigma frame, x coordinate of the object in the sigma frame, Vx by c square times gamma. So here gamma is 1 by under root of 1 minus v square by c square. So this is the last equation. So these equations, these were called as the Galilean transformations, and these are called as the transformation equations in the relativistic region. These are termed as Lorentz transformation. Now when you will put the limit of v very less than c in these Lorentz transformation equations, so if you will insert the fact that velocity is very less than c. So if v is very less than c, in that case this beta will approach to 0. So these equations, these Lorentz transformation, these are derived when the velocities, they are in the relativistic region, that is they are approaching the speed of light. So in that case we use these equations. But in our daily life we use these Galilean transformations, and that is because in that case the velocities in our daily life, the velocities of the objects, they are very less as compared to the speed of light in vacuum. Now what happens to these Lorentz transformation equations when velocity of the object is very less than the speed of light or the velocity of light in vacuum? So in this case, if v is very less than c, then beta will approach to 0. And if beta will approach to 0, this factor v by c, this will approach to 0. And if this will approach to 0, in that case we will have 1 minus 0, means the gamma will approach to 1. So in the non-relativistic region, that is when we have non-relativistic velocities, in that case gamma approaches to 1. Gamma approaches to 1 when we have non-relativistic velocities. So if gamma approaches to 1, in that case x prime will be just equal to x minus vt. Y prime will be equal to y, z prime will be equal to z, and over here if v is very less than c, in that case this factor will approach to 0 and also this gamma will approach to 1 when we have non-relativistic velocities. So in that case these Lorentz transformation, they will be just the same as the Galilean transformations when we are talking about the non-relativistic velocities. So in our daily life we use Galilean transformation, but if we are talking about relativistic region, the relativistic velocities, in that case we take Lorentz transformation into account. Now I am going to explain the same concept that I explained on the previous page. So I am going to explain the same object in a more simple way, because I have seen that most of the students in the previous sessions, they were not able to imagine the different frames of reference. So they were not able to find that which object, they were not able to imagine that which frame is moving and in which frame they are observing the things, due to which they were making the mistakes in writing the transformation equations and also finding also doing the derivation of length contraction and time dilation. So I am trying to explain it in a more simple way so that you can imagine better and also do not make the same mistakes in the derivations. So let's suppose that if you want to imagine, let's say this is you and let's say this is your friend. So in this case we are supposing that the object, this object which is placed over here, this is at rest with respect to you. So you are stationary with respect to this object and this object is at rest with respect to you. So according to you, what will be the x coordinate of this object? So according to you, the x coordinate will be the distance from this point to your origin. So this whole distance will be equal to x, and the y coordinate will be equal to y and z coordinate will be just equal to z. Now let's say that your friend has started moving along the x-axis in this way. So your friend has started to move along the x-axis with velocity v. So this is the sigma prime frame of reference which we were talking about, and your frame is sigma frame and your friend's frame is sigma prime because he is moving with the velocity of v. So as you can see that as your friend is moving with velocity v with respect to you, so your friend is moving with velocity v with respect to you. So if you will calculate the velocity of your friend in your frame, you will see that he is moving with the velocity v in this direction. But what are the things which are observed by your friend in his frame of reference? So if your friend observes the same x, y and z variables in his frame of reference, so now we have to see the origin of your friend. the origin O prime of this sigma frame. So if you will see that your friend is moving with the velocity of v along the x direction, and you can see that the x coordinate, the distance from here to the origin of your friend, the distance keeps on decreasing. So you can see that the distance, or you can say the x prime, keeps on decreasing, or you can say that it changes with time. So it changes with time. So you can see that the x coordinate is changing. The x prime coordinate in sigma prime frame is changing. And what will be the distance of your friend from you? So what will be the distance from this point to this point? It will be equal to v into t. So the distance from here to here will be equal to v into t. So what will be the x prime coordinate? That is the distance of the object from your friend. So what will be that? It will be equal to the distance of the object from you minus the distance of you from your friend, and that is equal to v into t. So x prime is equal to x minus v into t, and in this case your friend is moving along the x-axis, along the x direction, therefore there will be no change in y and z coordinates. So y prime will be equal to y and z prime will be equal to z. And we are talking about Galilean transformations over here. So the derivation of Lorentz transformation is in the syllabus of your subject of mechanics, and you will do that derivation over there. And the basic concept of that derivation, the basic idea of that derivation is that the speed of light remains same in all the inertial frames of reference. So the derivation of Lorentz transformation you will do in the mechanics. And z prime is equal to z and t prime will be equal to t. So these are the Galilean transformations. And if we talk about the Lorentz transformations, they are x prime is equal to x minus vt times gamma, and y prime is equal to y, and z prime is equal to z, and t prime, that is time of any event which is observed by your friend, is given by t minus vx by c square times gamma. So these are the Lorentz transformation equations. Now if we want to find the relation of, so in these equations you can see we have x prime on the left hand side and x on the right hand side. So if I want to take x on the left hand side and x prime on the right hand side, what I have to do is I have to use the reverse Lorentz transformations. So I can convert these transformations into reverse Lorentz transformations. So if I want to find the reverse Lorentz transformations, in that case what I have to do is I have to change any variable which has a prime on it. So any variable which has a prime on it, I will convert it into unprime. And if any variable has any variable, it can be x, y or z. So any variable which has a prime, that will be converted into unprimed, and if any variable is unprimed, that will be converted into primed variable. And the last thing that you have to do is to obtain the reverse transformation equations. The last thing that you have to do is wherever you have v, that will be written as minus v. So now I want to take this x on the left hand side. I want to find the x coordinate in terms of x prime, or y coordinate in terms of y prime, z coordinate in terms of z prime, and t coordinate in and this time variable in terms of t prime. So what I have to do is I have to use these three things. That is, wherever there is a prime, I will convert it into unprimed variable, and wherever I have unprimed variable, I will write down the primed variable, and wherever I have v, I will use minus v over there. So these are the Lorentz transformation equations. So if I want to find the reverse transformation equations. In that case, the first equation will become, so wherever I have a primed variable, I will write it as unprimed. So that is equal to, so now it is x minus v into t. Now wherever I have unprimed variable, I will write it as primed. Minus v, so wherever I have v, I will write down minus v. So minus times minus will be equal to plus into v and into t. So I will use t prime instead of t times gamma. As you know, gamma is equal to 1 by under root of 1 minus v square by c square. So if I will change v to minus v, in that case this gamma will remain the same because I have v square over here. So if I will use minus v over here, gamma will remain the same. So gamma will remain as it is. Now the second equation will be y will be equal to y prime. Y will be equal to y prime, and then we have z is equal to z prime. And the last one is that of time. So t will be equal to, so this is the first equation, second equation, third equation, and fourth one will be t will be equal to t prime. So instead of t, I will write t prime. Then I have minus v. So now I will use minus v instead of v. So minus into minus will become positive. So that will be plus v, and instead of x, I will write x prime. Divide by c square as it is times gamma as it is. So these are the reverse Lorentz transformation equations. So these four